Hello, welcome to the Dear Creator YouTube channel. I am Dani. I focus on my self-awareness journey and I'm sharing it all with you. And today I am inspired to share with you a book that I listened to yesterday and I listened to it again today. The book is a little bit over 4 hours and it's talking about the faith journey and when the faith journey disappoints you. Actually, my book came in today. So hello, book. It's by Lisa Victoria Fields. When faith disappoints, the gap between what we believe and what we experience. So let me tell you the journey here. So I was on Instagram.com and I came across an ad. Lisa Fields had an ad and it was just people talking. And I can't tell you what resonated with me. I don't even remember the ad completely. Maybe I'll post it here.
I think everybody has a moment when faith disappoints them.
My wife and I just have struggled with health stuff.
Experienced divorce.
My grandmother passed.
My second oldest sister was killed in a car accident.
And my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer.
My son was shot.
There were prayers that I thought that were genuine, that would be good for God to answer. But he just chose not to answer in the way that I wanted.
Why would God give me my dad back only to take him away?
My grandmother passed away.
Lost my younger brother and my older brother.
Sometimes you don't really know what you believe until you have to suffer for it and ask yourself, are these convictions really true?
But I am encouraged that God does not invite us to gaslighting ourselves.
I think that's what Lisa's trying to tell us in her book, When Faith Disappoints.
That being disappointed doesn't mean that they're less a person of faith.
Stewarding disappointment well actually brings us closer to God.
She's given us a roadmap to help guide us as we're going through these difficult stages.
It's not a problem to ask God these questions.
And this book really helps not only to deconstruct those kinds of wrong-headed ideas, but to reconstruct the right ideas that are rooted in what true faith is.
It's great for anyone starting their walk with the Lord or someone who's been walking with the Lord for a while, but they're experiencing faith that's been under pressure or faith that's been under attack.
But I remember when I was listening to the ad, it didn't seem pushy. It didn't seem insincere, but it was interesting. So I clicked on the ad, or I looked up the book and I said, I have to read the book. I don't even know why. Like when I look at ads, I'm one of those people where you probably have to send me a retargeted ad because I'm not going to get it immediately, or I might not want it. But when I want something, it's just wanting, okay? And so I went to Amazon.com. I typed it in. I said, I want to listen to this right now. That's what I did. I wanted to listen to this book immediately. For some reason, I wanted to. And I got the Audible version. So if you're interested in getting the Audible version, I have a link below so you can have a free month. But I got the Audible version because I had to wait for it to come into the mailbox, okay, so I can read it, because I'm going to read it and I'm gonna tell y'all how I'm gonna do this. So anyway, excited, thankful. Lisa, you should be thankful, and I know that you are, but I'm thankful for you for how God has worked through you with these words, with this book. And it was a very, very excellent book. And I'm thankful for this book because I now know that there's a person on earth who has thought through this process in the same way that I have, but also has a desire to get closer to God instead of further away from God. And through this journey where I've been confused and I had a lot of questions, I felt like I was by myself. I feel like in some areas people were able to resonate, but I didn't have the words or the language to put it together like this book does so well. It's a really good book. Let me tell you who this book is for, in my opinion. Anyone who wants to get closer to God but has a lot of questions. The reason the book works is not because it's going to give you all the answers, but one thing it does is it helps you format prayers based on the questions that you have. And I want us to explore some of this in detail. So hopefully, if anyone wants to join me in having some recaps of each chapter of this book, go ahead and, join me. Okay. But anyway, one thing is it's communicating in a way where you can pray about the questions that helps. Because for me, I had the questions and I would find myself always getting around people who seemed like they had the answers and present my questions. And I would always feel like, I still have that question, or the way they answered still felt like they were giving me the best that they could. And now I understand it was the best that they could. At one point, I'm thinking like, nobody has the answers, no one knows. But I kept wanting to dig into these conversations, to have these conversations, because am I the only one who thinks this way or have these questions, but still wants to get closer to God? Because you'll notice that people might have these questions about their faith, about religion, spirituality, all the things. And once their faith is, rumbled a little bit, okay, they decide to leave, or they're angry, or they're mad. And for reasons I can understand, some of the things that she brings out in this book, I don't know how I would even respond, especially when we think about Job. I feel like I just started talking. I don't know if I got the point across yet, but this is a book I want people to read who has ever deconstructed, has had hard questions about God, but actually desires to want to get closer to God. And that's one thing that's important for all of us, is in order to get to the next step, you actually have to have the desire to want to get closer to God. But we're going to go through tough questions and discussion questions as it relates to this book. But boom, bam, boom. This is a really good book, and I wanted to share with you all today because I'm inspired by this book to add it to the Happy Weight Bible study that I want to do here on the YouTube channel that I've done a few episodes with you all. So I'm going to tell you about why I'm going to use this book, and hopefully it's okay. I probably should get permission. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll see. But I found myself engaging with the community, right? And there's been Bible studies. And so at first I signed up for all the Bible studies, and I was just like, I probably should like chill. And I just signed up and kept myself with one Bible study. And what I like about the format of this Bible study is both Bible studies, actually. So I went to a couple of Bible studies, and they all base their Bible study on a book that they're reading. And they're like, each week, let's come back, let's discuss. And I said, oh, very interesting. I didn't think at that time that I wanted to do that. But after reading this book, I was like, oh, the book thing. I wonder if I can do that for a community or a group of people who also have questions, but they actually have a desire to come back to God. I think that's a really important thing for me, is to pinpoint who I think I should be talking to. Is really the audience of those who have had questions, was going all around the way, like I did, all around the way, trying to get questions answered, but still feeling confused. Okay, I am one of those people. But before getting this book, and I have to be transparent, I'm not sure, I can't say it was this book. I do feel like God directed my path, though. I have been on this journey where, okay, bam, religion shaking my world a little bit. Religion, faith, God, are you really there? Then I'm going to therapy, and then the therapy stops. I'm feeling all the things. I don't have any feeling about anything. I don't even want to touch the Bible. Boom, boom, boom. Fast forward. I am around people who love God, and they are not pushing God on me. They're not forcing God on me, but they are just people who love God. I am like with them for like 7 years, and I think they rubbing off on me because, like all of a sudden I need to get closer to God. So then I get closer to God. I'm like, I need you. This is great. My children need you too. I grew up in the church. It was amazing. I don't know why, but I still don't want to be around with these people. I'm just going to be coming to church and coming out, just making sure we get some of that church on us. Okay. So I'm coming back into the church. And if you don't know already, I'm trying to fast forward through my story before I end this video. So I'm coming to church, and I'm thinking about my primary reason, which was, I know that I want to get closer to God, but it wasn't matter of fact. It was just, I think I should try this out. And so I'm trying this out, and I'm still like, church, people fake. I can't. Okay. But I'm thinking like my children, my children, let's just keep going. Life is lifing. And I'm drawing closer and I'm here and I'm off and I'm being consistent and I like it, but not too much to get too involved because okay? Then I just have like this, like, oh my goodness, a high on God. It's amazing. I'm just so happy to be here. I meet a friend at the time who was all about it, and I can talk about God like nonstop, and it felt like it was a good friendship at the time. And I was like so excited, so happy, and then bam, okay, I am experiencing things that I don't feel comfortable with in this life. I've lived in a bubble. Things have always been working out for me. Things are good. Now I like the fact, looking at my past few years now, that it wasn't as crazy as it could have been, because people have experienced things in this life that it's going to be hard or is hard. And when I'm looking at like everything that felt so hard to me, I don't want to minimize it, but I am thankful for the fact that my hardness or that my struggle at this point in my life, up to this point in my life, just was what it was. I mean, it was still scary and weird, but now I guess because it's like, get closer to God, follow God, just draw near. It just feels like, wow, like there's so much power in the word of God. There's so much power in drawing near to God. There's so much power in just even having your heart postured in a way where you're confused, but out of all the things that you can tap into, this is going to be the most valuable thing. If any of that made sense, thank you for following me. If not, I just wanted to share that after experiencing a lot of different things in the past few years and drawing closer to God, despite the fact that I've had a lot of question and confusion and struggles, this book and reading this book yesterday definitely was the icing on this all, because therapy has been really helping me figure out like all the things that I'm thinking or why I have this relationship with faith and religion the way that I do. And the more that I talked about it and I expressed it and I went to God in prayer and I was consistent with having a communication with God, I've started to see things become a lot more clear. But for a lot of the days, it was very like confusing, but still, even through this confusion, I feel solid. I feel at peace. I'm just communicating to God that I'm interested. I'm so interested in learning, and my questions aren't so against learning. My questions are leaning in. I wonder if this is something that I can learn. I wonder why I feel this way. I wonder why I even have these questions. So now I'm almost there, y'all. The book. I have never met Lisa. I've never talked to her before. And so I am automatically making myself an advocate for this book and for this author, because I know that it's words written the way that it's written in this book that helps people in this land get closer to God. And I know that there's a lot of books that have changed people's lives. I think there's a lot of books that help people. And I've read a few books that definitely have brought me closer to God. But with this particular journey that I've had, it was just very, very nice. Very, very nice to listen. Actually listen, the Audible, okay? Click in the link below with the Audible, because you get a free month. But listening to her voice, because she's the author, and she's sharing her story. But listening to her voice, I can even hear the human in her voice. It felt like, dang, like she thinks like I do about these things. And there was one point in the book where she shared something, and I'm like, how was she talking directly to me? How was she talking direct? Like when I say directly to me, it seemed like she was talking directly to me. And this is the way, in my experience, that God communicates to me. It's through people, it's through other words, and it's through the Bible, but it's definitely through the way that we communicate with one another. So what I want to do, there was a method. Again, I talked about the Bible studies earlier, where people took a book and they came each week to talk about the book. And I definitely want people to read this book. Purchase it on Amazon, purchase it wherever you can. I'll put her information in the link in the description box below. But also come back and really see how we can apply it to our lives. One of the biggest applications is the prayers. Like, prayer is a behavior, it's an action. And the prayers in this book are helpful. And one of the practices that I want to practice is being able to communicate through more intentional prayers, looking at prayers that we see in the Bible and looking at even scriptures in the Bible and formatting prayers based on God's word. There is some power to that. So I'm going to end this video now. I just wanted to come on here and share with you all that this book was really, really interesting to me. And I would love for you all to join me in reflecting on some of this. And so, because I know that this is a book that's being sold to people, I'm not going to read everything. I think each week I'm going to just share something that inspired me and maybe read a little bit of that passage, and hopefully it inspires anyone who is in that audience type of being disappointed with your faith in God and feeling like you may have a Job story, or even just being confused by why God does the things that God does. It was just the way that the words were formatted in this book, and I think it will hit people differently. But for me, I said, I've heard that before and I get that concept. But for some reason, it's really, I feel relaxed with it now. Some way, somehow, everything is starting to make more sense. Even though she admits that there are things that she still wrestles with, even in her admitting that as she was writing, I no longer wrestle with that thing. And I thought, it's so cool to be on earth and to be designed to be here for a particular reason, and then figure it out and use the Bible as a guide in order to get to it as fast as you want to, or as peaceful as you want to. This journey is so interesting. I, again, am so thankful to have woken up this morning and to be able to experience and get closer to God. Sometimes when I used to listen to content creators, or to even listen to people out in life creating content on earth, there's things that I'm saying now that sound like, oh, okay, that's nice if someone would say it. But I actually feel it. I understand it. And so now, even when I communicate or engage with people who are in the church now, because that's one of the things I wanted to do, is be able to like not have this barrier or this fear of engaging with church people, even though I might be different than some of them at this moment in my life with all the questions that I have. I now understand that we all are on different paths, and my vision or my path or the way that I have been designed, there is something to it, right? There's a reason why I've been designed this way. There's a reason why things all work together for the good, and I'm interested in figuring it out or just experiencing it. At this point, I don't even know how. I'm not sure. Maybe there's some questions that I'll still have. But at this point in my life, with the therapy and getting closer to God and tapping into books like this, I'm like, okay. And engaging with the community, because one of the things about probably was my biggest was, will I be able to find a community that I can properly engage with that will feel like it's authentic and not forced? And I can sincerely say that's happened. Cheers. Okay. But that was one of the things where I was just like, So yeah, that's all I'm going to share with you all today. I will be back soon to talk a little bit more about this book. Hopefully I can be able to interview Lisa. I'm going to reach out to her because that's what I do. I try to reach out to people and see if they reply. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But if she does reply, hopefully I can talk about this book with her. And honestly, I'm usually good with having more questions and being able to like dig into some things. And there's not much. There are some things where I want to explore certain aspects that she shared. I'll just look at it differently. So I have questions for those, but it's not that many, which is interesting. So, okay, that's it. Thank y'all for being here. Until next time, hold on to you as much as you can. Hold on to your health, your well-being, and your mind. Be mindful. Bye.